Welcome to Recap Our Studio.
Good day, everyone. Today, we'll be discussing the 2017 fantasy film Dave produced. Amaze the voice asks a person named Dave why he built a labyrinth. Dave becomes enraged at the interviewer, but responds that he wanted to make something magnificent, and that if he were permitted to complete it, he would accept responsibility for all those who perished as a result of the labyrinth. When Annie, Dave's girlfriend, comes home after a business trip, the plot jumps forward a few days. To her amazement, a box structure materialized in the midst of their flat, from which her boyfriend's voice could be heard. Dave tells me he made a labyrinth and intends to keep it in the home for the time being. She regards the cardboard building as simply another oddity of the day. So she doesn't even respond and goes to the shower, and he comes to the living room and asks Dave how long he's been working on the labyrinth. He responds that he has been inside for 3 days and cannot get out because he got lost, and he offers to simply destroy the structure, but he refuses to break what he has spent so much time creating. Excited, and he wants to go inside the labyrinth, but Dave forbids her from doing so because the structure is not yet completed and it can be dangerous, and he calls him a jerk and begins shaking the maze from the sounds coming from under the boxes. It seems like an earthquake occurred inside, and Dave, in a panic, requests her not to do it again. And he is irritated and wants to escape the labyrinth, but he requests that he find another way out and phone his buddy Gordon. Following Gordon's arrival, Dave joyfully informs him about the labyrinth, claiming that he began constructing it from the center but soon became lost. Gordon is skeptical of his claim, but he is told that the labyrinth is larger on the inside than it seems on the outside. And he praises Gordon for coming to see his buddy, and they ironically start talking about Dave peeing in the labyrinth. He claims he hasn't eaten in a long time. These remarks really upset her, and she questioned Dave if he was certain he was okay. He admits to injuring his hand. Gordon attempts to pull the boxes out of the way so Dave can get out from behind them. He claims, however, that he securely fastened them to the floor. Then Gordon begins banging on the boxes, and Dave attempts to find his way out of the labyrinth by concentrating on the knocking noises, but the escape fails because he becomes lost in the maze again. He claims that he developed an overly complex framework that is difficult to escape from. Gordon decides to phone another of their mutual friends, Leonard, despite the fact that Dave had merely told Leonard about the labyrinth. As additional individuals arrive at the residence, Gordon informs him that other pals have already arrived. Harry is with a film team that is doing a documentary on Dave's labyrinth. Bryn, Greg and Jane Gordon also phoned several visitors and a street homeless guy. Everyone wants to marvel at the incredible edifice and figure out how someone got lost within and why he can't get out. Leonard offers to bring Dave out, but he warns him of the danger and claims he has put several traps inside so they won't be able to last even a minute. Leonard believes everything is a farce and plans to leave. Dave apologizes to Annie for being unable to escape the labyrinth. He says he misses her, and she responds she misses him as well. These words reverberate through the labyrinth and catch up with the fatigued Dave somewhere deep inside the boxes, and he chooses to follow Dave into the maze. Everyone in the room interprets this as a green light and enters the labyrinth first, leaving just the bomb outside. Once inside, they discover that the labyrinth is considerably bigger than it seems from the outside. Dave's companions continue through the cardboard hallways, marveling at what Dave has accomplished in such a short period of time. Each chamber inside the labyrinth is decorated differently. They find themselves in a chamber packed with paper, at the end of which is a cardboard head that spews forth a variety of origami paper. They are suddenly assaulted by origami in the shape of a giant red bird to prevent being attacked or perhaps buried beneath the paper debris. They all crawl inside the cardboard head of a statue and exit into another area. Meanwhile, Leonard returns to Dave's flat and enters the labyrinth. Following the terrible origami room, everyone is taken aback. Harry seizes the opportunity and attempts to film an interview with Annie in which he asks her when they learned how to bring inanimate items to life and questions whether her lover is important to her. Jane rushes into the room, mistakenly stepping on a trap and setting off a cardboard mechanism that slices off her head instead of blood threads squirting out her neck like a fountain. I was shocked by what transpired. The crew continues to dash through the labyrinth, trying to find out why they've constructed the lethal barriers. In another portion of the labyrinth, Greg and Bryn play hide and seek. Greg fails to see another trap and pays with his life. When frightened Brain finds the rest of the gang and informs them about what happened to Greg, they decide to figure out what they're dealing with by going to where he died, but his corpse has vanished someplace on the cardboard floor. They detect hoof prints. Gordon speculates that Dave has constructed a minotaur that guards the labyrinth and feeds on the murdered, and he resolves to make a hole in the wall with a paper cutter. With every cut, the wind picks up within the room. Everyone manages to escape, but Brian gets murdered by the minotaur. The creature then begins pursuing everyone else. Suddenly, Dave appears and leads them to another chamber full with optical illusions. He informs his buddies that they should not have entered the labyrinth since he did not anticipate people to die as a result of his design after offering everyone a gift box that turned out to be a tube to another chamber after flying out of the tube. They degrade into cardboard. Following them inside the chamber, the Minotaur starts pursuing them. After escaping the traps, they tumble through another pipe and emerge in a different chamber in human shape. To keep his comrades safe from the Minotaur, Dave drapes a towel over the aisle. Despite all that has happened, Dave does not want to demolish the labyrinth and asks his pals to help him finish it. He feels that the labyrinth has become perilous solely because it has not yet been completed, and he disagrees with him, telling him that they must escape. Dave informs her that she cannot cut her own path since this would instantly summon the Minotaur. For them. He leads his buddies to the next room, which is decorated with music, colorful lights, and a spotlight. The screen is showing a documentary that the friends made together in the past, and they share recollections and narrate humorous sequences from movies. They uncover a quarter that resembles female genitalia in one of the chambers. At the conclusion of the fiscal quarter, everyone wants to go closer to a brilliant light that shines enticingly. Dave comes to a halt in front of his pals and takes the glove off his damaged hand. He also tried to touch the light, and as a result, his hand transformed into paper mache. They proceed and eventually see the route out of the labyrinth. They happily go towards it but end up in a different room. During their stay, the labyrinth became even larger, making it almost difficult to find a route out. Dave proposes enticing the Minotaur into the female vaginal area and transforming it into cardboard. He is certain that he will be able to switch off the traps and they will be able to complete the labyrinth together. His pals are not as enthusiastic as he is. As we saw at the start of the narrative, Harry chooses to interview Dave. In it, he explains why he developed the labyrinth in the first place. Dave is going through a personal issue and was hoping to accomplish something meaningful. He was weary of being poor and always hunting for work at the age of 30. He is still receiving money from his parents. He does not want his loved ones to think of him as cowardly, and he does not want to express his rage. The labyrinth became the manifestation of the sentiments he feels within himself on a daily basis, and he eventually chooses to assist him discover a solution that would let them escape the maze. The Minotaur, who is attempting to break into their chamber, interrupts their conversation. Gordon and the boom operator utilize their combined weight to close the door. They and the others flee into another room, and he offers to find and destroy the labyrinth's heart. Gordon recalls Dave telling him that he began building the maze from the center. As a result, this could be the structure's weak point. However, Dave explains to his buddies that he did not construct such a structure since he did not want someone to demolish it. And he tells Dave that individuals go through what he is going through every day, and that he needs to cope with it in order to achieve something good, like saving your friends' lives. Dave claims that the labyrinth is the only thing he's ever begun that is worth completing, and he suggests that they complete creating the maze and create a weak hole in it so that they may escape. Inspired by his beloved's comments, Dave guides his pals to the maze's core. Bryn, who is now made of paper, is discovered in one of the chambers. She wants to summon her buddies to high-five her, but Dave says they can't wait and that they must go on. Otherwise, the labyrinth will get much larger. He urges his pals to keep Brian from leaving the room while he and Annie go farther. When Harry and his friends decide to attend the interview, Gordon asks her why they are there, to which she responds that life is full of unfinished moments from which there is no way out. Meanwhile, Dave and NEA wind themselves at a kitchen table. The maze demonstrates the couple's marital issue via recurrent discourse. Dave believed Annie was sad because he was always looking for himself. They argued and couldn't understand each other. They sat by candlelight, and Dave says he's concerned he doesn't have anything else, to which she responds that everything will be great and smiles at him lovingly. Dave extinguishes the light and declares that he is seeking for a way out. The pair finds themselves back in the labyrinth, with just a lamp lighting the area. Bryn continues to distract them by telling them about the Minotaur, who simply wants more human blood to be free. By banding together, Annie and Dave construct a cocoon in the maze's center, which will serve as a weak spot. He pulls out a samurai sword and tells Annie that the Minotaur would come for them as soon as she pierces the wall with her blade. She kisses Dave and tells him she loves him. She then thrusts a blade into the wall. Bringing advantage of the time the gang wraps a rope around Bryn, she transforms into a huge hand and attempts to free herself, taking the boom operator underneath with her. He hits again, and blood starts to run out of the labyrinth. And he and Dave enter a new area, where he states that the cocoon must be spun in order to break the labyrinth, and he finds a music player and puts something on it. While all of this is going on, the Minotaur pursues the surviving pals, but they manage to escape unwrapped, and the cocoon starts to open and shine. The maze responds by activating fresh traps, killing Leonard, who had been following them the whole time. Dave destroys the labyrinth by cutting off the heart of the cocoon with a sword. The remaining buddies are eventually able to go. As Harry continues to capture everything on his phone camera, they begin removing the debris and cleaning up the flat. Before you go, he requests that Dave come up with a name for the film, and he advises that Dave create a labyrinth at the conclusion of the plot. He throws the maze's remnants in the garbage, and the Minotaur emerges from underneath them. Friends, that's all. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Share your opinions on the film in the comments, and make ideas for the next film you'd want to watch.